Go.
Yeah, maybe to challenge your okay, so let's go to conversion after the
Just a quick overview that our situation is as outlined in these 6 frames. The process is the teacher prepares the podcast, transfers the podcast to the students, as you can see in the 2nd frame, and in the 3rd frame, the group of students listen to the podcast in the park with sun, greenery, and in the 4th frame, the students discuss the podcast and practice the assignment in the podcast, and also record using their mobile phones. The student standing up there is recording. The one on the laptop there is practicing, carrying out the activity, demonstrating, and the others are discussing and watching. And in the 5th frame here, the group representative of the students sends back the students' recording of their practice to the teacher. And in the last frame, the teacher comes in a face-to-face context and reviews and assesses the students' recording. What we've done is carry out frame 2. The prototyping focuses on frame 2, and that emphasizes the mobile phones as the medium for sending the lesson through a podcast to the students. I'm playing the part of the teacher, and he's playing the part of the student. I use my mobile phone. It's a bit old-fashioned. Teachers in our context are not as sophisticated as their students who are natives, digital natives, as they say. So I have this phone, but it serves me. It's got 3 buttons that enables me to select the lesson, the podcast I want to send, and also to select the receiver that I want to send it to. My receivers are in groups, and also enables me to send. So I press send. I press select, and I start with a menu of 3 lessons here, and I press select, and it selects Intro to Computing for Mass Comm students. And the next menu I have are the IDs of my students, and there are 6 of them here, and I press my select receiver button, and it selects the student the group that I want to send the message to. My 3rd frame here in the storyboard is the send. I send it to the student I selected in frame 2, and I get a display that tells me it's been sent to that group, and the time at which it went, and the date, and it saves it to my disk. And then the student picks it.
Yeah, so I just get a message received on my phone. So I receive a message. I have a file name, Introduction to Computing for Math Students, or Math 100. The sender, Dr. Victor, and there is time and date. So I have on my system a message that's coming from where the name of the message. So I have all these buttons. So I can open the file, and I click open. Now it's an audio podcast, So now I listen to the audio podcast. I have all these fancy buttons there. I can move forward, I can pause, I can play, and so on. So I listen to the message. Now, while I have opened the message, I have the system software that as soon as I open the message, also sends another acknowledgement to the lecturer that this person has accessed the lecture. So that is the end of this.
So once he opens it, I get an automatic display on my set here that tells me who has opened the file and at what time, so that I'm sure that my podcast has been received and is in good condition, has been accessed.
And maybe you should add that we are having a software saving all these informations in the file. This lesson has gone to this student, has been accessed at this stage. At some point after the assessment, I can still update this file with scores and all that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
So please, again, thank this group for a very nice demonstration of their design, both of the storyboard and focusing on one phase in the interaction. And can we have comments from the audience on their design?
I think there is a gap in what they have done. He has sent a message to the student, and the student responds. So what happens? Won't there be any form of feedback to the student on the performance? They did not touch on that.
Actually, we just focused on one. The prototype is just on one. We have another one, teacher reviewing, group recording and assessing, just like they had in-class session. You know, that's another one here. That's this one.
Okay, but I'm thinking they did act it out here.
No, but he explained all these slides, and we now say we focused on one slide on the storyboard.
So they zoomed in on
So if we have to do that, we begin to break down all this as well. You know, all the storyboard is just for this, for that stage two.
So hopefully next time we run this workshop for a whole week. Right. Are there any more questions or comments? Yes.
Actually, I think it was kind of related to what she said. I was trying to find out how the group recording thing works. Like, is it that they're going to sit together and actually put a mobile phone and record their discussion, which is going to be sent back to the lecturer for review, or how is that supposed to work?
You know, just like showed the students who went to the field to look at the animals and all that, that's just the concept. You know, we're not there. But that's the only way we can track if truly they had a live discussion of it. Because through our phones, we know that they opened it, they assessed it. But through that, they really discussed it, how many people were there and all that. That's the whole concept. And that's what we showed on slide
Number 4.
No, three.
Okay, sorry.
Slide 4. You know, until we do a detailed prototype of slide 4 then.
Yeah, they recorded in slide 4, and actually there is a laptop. The assumption is at least
They'll be
a
practicing.
group can have access to one laptop.
Yes.
Okay, so they practice the lecture, they
You
record
know,
on the phone.
We are coming from a point that we have only 10 PCs. And so we record the message and the group will have access to it and they'll be using it for their practice.
Any more comments, questions? I mean, one thing I personally like about the storyboard, and of course, as you said yourself, you haven't really fleshed out all the details because there's a lot to do, but I really like the combination of the teacher-driven task and the the distance learning, but also the group activity and collaborative learning on site, and the way all these things are combined. So I thought that was an example, and we were talking yesterday about going beyond the ebook, using the mobile much beyond the medium of delivery. So I think that you really managed to capture this in your design. And also, I know that during your, I think you can see how drilling into the detail through the paper prototyping really brings up all these issues of how, as a teacher, how do I know if I send a podcast, how do I actually know that it's been received, right? And that the students manage to open it or even bother to open it, right? Because if I'm in a class and I say open your books, I can see that they all open their books. If I send a podcast, I need to, so the idea of automating that process so that once somebody opens a podcast, the teacher can see that. I think that was a very good idea. So thank you. Again,